Guys, my name is Nonima Tikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today on this video, I want us to talk about what Baloyi started with, because Baloyi Baloyi spoke about relevance. Hey, guys, Baloyi was busy putting relevance, and it was quite embarrassing to say the least. Okay, let's talk about the relevance of the witness name. Let's talk about that, because let me break down there. Let me do a deep dive into the relevance of a witness and the relevance of the evidence. Now, the witness is not being used as an eyewitness to Senzo Meyiwa's murder, right? That's not what Ramsipile was doing there, for starters. That is important, okay? That is important starting point ne, when it comes to this thing, relevance. His relevance is indirect. Ne? The state is not, the defense is not calling him to say, tell the court who killed Senzo. The defense is calling him to help with how did I choose one and to become persons of interest. That makes his evidence relevant to the investigative pathway, not the actual shooting. Okay? Okay? That is why he was supposed to be called by the state to begin with. Hence, the defense called him. Now, relevance of the witness, that's our first point. The witness becomes relevant because his name appears in and connects to the statement allegedly made by Absalom Zungu. That statement appears to have contained information about Mafika Bongani, Danzi, Muzi Sibiya, alleged links to Nongoma, KwaZulu-Natal, alleged conversations about who was involved, information that allegedly led police to profile I Choose 1 and 2, the later involvement of Brigadier Gininda, the investigation being set in train. So the witness is relevant because he helps the court test whether the foundation of the investigation was reliable or contaminated. That is why we say he is relevant. So in simple terms, the witness may not know who killed Senzo, but he may help show whether the police were working from real information or from a shaky, hearsay-filled story. Yebo. Second point, why the defense wants this witness. The defense likely wanted to use him to create a bridge. The bridge is Absalom Zungu's statement, names mentioned, Gininda receives information, I Choose 1 and 2 are profiled, arrest follow, then confessions or other evidence later emerges. Do you understand now? Can you see why Mbekiseni was important? That is the defense's bigger picture. They are trying to say the police did not randomly arrest this man according to what is here in court as evidence. There was earlier information pointing towards them who I Choose 1 and 2 for starters. So even if the witness now says, I know nothing about the murder, the defense still wants him to confirm parts of the background of the arrest. Why do we have these people here on the dock? Yes, that is what is happening. Now he is confirming he knows Absalom Zungu. That's the background. He knows Ndanzi Mafika Bongani. Ndanzi is also called Mafika. He confirms that. He also confirms the family relationship that are existing between Ubabu Zungu and them. And also the links to KwaNongoma. Some names or places in the statement are not completely invented. They are there. They do exist. That's what he is helping with. That helps the state argue that, that helps the defense argue that the statement was not created from thin air. It started with this conversation that they say in court it happened because of Mbekiseni. Point number 3, why the defense is here bringing this witness. The defense is not only bringing this evidence to attack this witness, to attack him personally. They are attacking the source chain. That's what the defense is doing. The defense is basically saying the statement is being treated as if it unlocked the case, but the people allegedly connected to it are denying the important parts. Now, that is powerful because if the witness denies the core allegations, then the foundation starts shaking, especially if Mbekiseni says, I do not know about the murder of the murder. I do not know Ms. Sibiya. I never had those conversations. I do not know about the alleged fight. I do not know the suspects whereabouts in 2014. I cannot assist the court on the actual incident. Then the defense can argue, so what exactly did the statement prove? Why do you have these people in court today? Now, and why did the police rely on it so heavily? That is what the defense is trying to bring forth. If you don't understand why, that's what I'm telling you. Now, let's go to relevance of the evidence. Point number 4. The evidence is relevant if it helps answer one of these questions. A, did the investigation have a legitimate starting point? If the police received information in 2019 that pointed to accused 1 and 2, the court may consider whether that explains the later investigation. But here is the danger in this. A starting point is not proof of guilt, right? It only explains police conduct. So the evidence may be relevant to why police investigated them, but not necessarily relevant to whether they committed the murder. Yes, that is the point. B, was the information reliable? This is where the defense has a room to go nuclear now. If the alleged source of the information is unclear, contradictory, or denied by the witness, then the court must ask, was this really intelligence, or was it manufactured or recycled to justify arrest? What was happening? That is where Brigadier Gininda becomes central, because if Gininda is repeatedly the person taking, writing, receiving, or controlling statements, then the defense can argue this investigation was not independently built. It was controlled through one investigative channel. That does not automatically destroy the evidence, but it creates a serious credibility issue. C, did the statement contaminate the later investigation? This is the biggest issue of them all. If a weak or disputed statement led police to profile accused 1 and 2, then every later step becomes suspicious. Arrest, interrogations, alleged confessions, ID parades, pointing out, witness statements, cell phone analysis, police narrative. The defense can argue, once the police locked onto these accused, everything that came after was shaped to fit the theory. That's what the defense can argue. That is why the witness matters, even if he is not an eyewitness. He is part of the origin of the case. Do you see why he matters? Do you see? He does matter. So Baloyi telling us that he is irrelevant, the ship has sailed, the horse has bolted, he's just talking nonsense. Point number 5, now that I'm done with those situations. The key courtroom tension now, the state wants the court to see the evidence as if it doesn't help anywhere whatsoever. But the defense wants the court to see this evidence as background information that explains the investigation. That is what is happening here. The defense wants the court to see it as contaminated foundation that infected the whole case. That is the battle right now. The same evidence can be relevant for 2 different reasons. For the state, it explains investigations. For the defense, it exposes how the investigation may have gone wrong. Point number 6, the danger for the state. The danger is that this witness may not strengthen the state case per se. He may actually weaken it, because every time he confirms only harmless details but denies the serious allegations, the statement becomes hollow Example, he may confirm, yes, I know Absalom Zungu. Yes, Ntanzi is known as Mafika. Yes, there are family links, but then deny, I know nothing about the murder. I never discussed who killed Senzo. I do not know Muzi Sibiya. I cannot place anyone at the crime scene. That leaves the state with background but not substance. The defense can then say you have proved family relationships, not murder. Point number 7, the big legal point. Relevance does not mean weight. Evidence can be relevant but weak. This witness may be relevant because he connects to the investigation, but the weight of his evidence may be very limited because he does not prove who killed Senzo, who was at Fort Loras, who had the firearm, who planned the crime, who fled the scene, who confessed voluntarily, who was truthful in the police statements. So the court may allow the evidence in, but still later say this does not take this does not take the state's case very far. Do you see? But the defense, yes, proofs are there. Now let's go to point number 8, the nuclear framing. This witness is not the murder witness. He is the foundation witness. And that is why this evidence is dangerous. Because if the foundation witness collapses, the court is left asking, if this is how the investigation started, what exactly was the investigation built on? That is an exclusive point for a defense. The state is trying to use the witness to prove that the investigation had direction. But the defense is using the same witness to suggest that the direction may have been based on hearsay, denial, confusion, and possible condemnation. Now, this witness may not tell the court who killed Senzo Meyiwa, but he may help the court decide whether the case against accused 1 and 2 was built on evidence or built on a story that police later tried to turn into evidence. That is what matters when it comes to the relevance of Mbeki saying. What are your thoughts? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. Do enjoy your day. Bye-bye.